So you notice that there's a different use of the body than the Shaolin that I showed. One of my teachers, he was famous, one of his famous sayings was, you know, in all martial arts, there's only 800 or 900 moves. Right? So we know it's not about the moves. Now you have to understand this to really know what that means. Martial arts developed before the Buddha learned it. After that point, we know it developed another 800 years or 1,000 years. When he says there's only 800 or 900 moves, you'll discover these in the first couple hundred years of lineage. So the revolution that was represented by the Shaolin to the internal styles wasn't about moves. It wasn't about a new kind of move. It wasn't anything particularly spatial that you could see. It started out as a series of tactics. You know, one thing I like to point out to people is that Tai Chi Chuan existed long before there was a form. It came out of a very practical usage thing, and it took generations and generations before it got codified and put into a form that could be passed on. But there's a couple different things that make internal arts special. And the big thing has to do with the inside of the body, how Qi works. In Chinese medicine, as well as in internal arts, we talk about 3 levels. The first is Jing, the second is Qi, and the third is Shen. Jing, by Jing we mean, this has 2 different meanings. In martial arts it means force, which means pure material force. In Chinese medicine it means essence, and they're actually talking about a matter. This is the coarsest level of energy. When we're practicing a physical movement, we're doing it at the Jing level. Most Shaolin happens at the Jing level, which is not to say that it doesn't develop Qi, but the way that it develops Qi is different than the way an internal style develops Qi. And an internal style without Qi development really doesn't have anything happening. It's like Shaolin, although to make it work, you have to have the Tai Chi body. So Shaolin works just on the Jing level. Tai Chi Chuan doesn't work really just on the Jing level. You really need to have Qi inside. Shen is spirit. And the Taoist formula is that Jing, through the right manipulation and development, actually translates itself into Qi, transmutes into Qi. And Qi transmutes into Shen. And this becomes very significant. When we talk about meditation, one of the things that I frequently harp upon is that Westerners tend to think about meditation as something that's primarily psychology and becomes very intellectualized. But a big part of the formula of successful meditation is energy. And a lot of the practices, the traditional practices, were about developing sufficient energy and removing blockages to that energy, which turns out to be an important part of that. So one of the things that makes Tai Chi significant and different we call Chan Su Jing. In Chan Su Jing, Shaolin typically doesn't have Chan Su Jing. Chan Su Jing, this is one of the ways that they talk about it, is a Jing, a kind of a force that comes from the image they use is in silk making. Silk is gathered on a cocoon. It's wound on a spool. And as the silk comes off, it comes off in a spiral. And so a lot of what you saw in that form had this internal spiraling and coiling going on. And that's what starts to give it this different energy. Okay?